Hey everyone! Welcome to episode 40 of Show Me How It's Done. I know we are still in the middle of summer, but I had to share this card with you today because I had a really fun time playing with it at my event last week. So the reason I'm highlighting it today is because this Christmas paper that you see in the background is one of our celebration items, and those guys are only available until the end of September. So they're free with a $60 order. And the one that we're highlighting today is called the Peaceful Prints 12 by 12 paper. So you can see some of the little patterns hiding in the background here with the deer and the trees and the snowflakes, and there's even like some birch trees hiding in there. So it goes really well with the gorgeous Peaceful Deer bundle. However, I wanted to show it in combination with another bundle as well so that you can see it's not just exclusive to this pattern, but it is really versatile because of the color scheme that we have going on here. And one other celebration item I want to highlight is this Bedazzling paper. This is also a free item that you can get with a $60 order. So you get 8 sheets of 6 by 6 paper, and it is absolutely stunning. So if you can see it in person, even on the screen just a little, you can see how glittery it is. So this bundle here that I'm showing you, the Words of Cheer, if you were to purchase this bundle, the stamp set and the dies, if I can get that to stay, you would qualify for one of those items for free. So just something to think about. And you can see there's so many dies in this set that I haven't even touched on. But don't worry, we're going to come back to this set when it's actually Christmas time. But I wanted to show you this card because I really find myself stumped sometimes in what to do with little extra scraps. You know, I have whole packages of paper that I can cut up into beautiful backgrounds, and then without fail, I always end up with small pieces like this that I'm just not really sure what to do with. This is a perfect card for that. So if you would like to follow along, you're welcome to. I have some measurements that I can give you for our projects. And you can also just come back and watch the replays too. So don't feel like you have to jump up and get your stuff. But let me just share with you what I've cut to prepare for this card. So I have a piece of crumb cake, and this measures 4 1/4 by 11. And I've put a score mark at 5 1/2 and folded this so that I have my card base. That would be this right here. Now, as I'm lifting, you can see the inside of my card. I really like to decorate something nice to write on. So I've cut 2 pieces of paper here. The first is Evening Evergreen, and this would be 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then because we need to write on it, we've got a piece of Very Vanilla. This is 3 3/4 by 5. So I also will be listing all of the measurements on my YouTube link. So if you're watching on Facebook, just check out the comments. There'll be a link posted in about an hour for you, okay? So these 2 pieces, they will go on the inside of my card, and you'll attach them with a flat adhesive. So we'll do that in a second, but let's finish cutting the rest of our pieces here. On the front, this background shadow piece here is another piece of Evening Evergreen, and this one measures 3 inches by 4 inches. Then you can use whatever little scraps you have left. So I've just chosen 5 of them here, just 4 from the paper that we were playing with before, and 1 from the Bedazzling set as well. So 5 of them. You need them to measure 2 3/4 inches long, and then just shy of 1 inch. So if you cut these at 1 inch, you don't end up with a lot of a buffer in between the colors. So literally just line your paper up to 1 inch and move it backwards a hair So if you're getting technical, you're going to the 15/16 of an inch. But if you want to just be practical, line it up to an inch and just move it back a teeny tiny bit. Okay, that's all you need to do. So 5 of those pieces in any sort of pattern you like. And then the last one here, we wanted a little tag. So I have cut this one at 1/2 an inch by 3 inches. Okay, and that's going to be our season's greetings. So I've already prepared mine, and with my gold embossing powder, I have stamped the sentence season's greetings, and that one I did find hiding in this set right here. Okay, so we're going to touch on embossing another day, and you can also go back and watch some of my videos where I have embossed, but the focus that I wanted to do today was on a little bit of coloring for you. So we have those pieces. Let's assemble the card, and then we will talk about this gorgeous, stunning little guy here. All right, so I like to get the inside of my card done quickly. Let's grab some tape. There we go. I just think it's so fancy when you can actually have something different to write on. It just kind of makes the inside of your message stand out for everyone. So I'm using some double-sided tape. Our seal is also really good for attaching things like this. There we go. And if you don't have nails with your tape, you can also grab just a scissor blade or something, or take your pick tool. If you just kind of tuck it underneath here, it will lift some of that up. I have nails, so I'm just going to do that. There we go. So I've attached this part together. Now on the front of my card, I want to get a little fancy. So before I do all of these things, I'm going to do just a little bit of background stamping. Completely up to you if you do that as well. But I've taken the giant stamp, the focal one, from the Words of Cheer and mounted it on a block. I'm going to use Crumb Cake ink, which is actually the same color as my background here, and just add a couple of these flower and leaf clusters to the background. If you don't own this one and you're following along with some other tools from your stash, just any sort of flowers or foliage are perfect, because you don't see a lot of them in the background here. You're just seeing a tiny little bit. So I'm doing 3 corners on my card. I actually wanted to leave this top left-hand corner plain, just for something different. You know, I don't need to have a border around everything, but I primarily wanted it in this wide open section. Okay, so I've got that gorgeousness done. While you have this stamp out, you can also grab a piece of Very Vanilla and stamp yourself a flower. You can use the crumb cake once again if you'd like, or I do suggest using the Memento Black, simply because when we're coloring, the Memento doesn't bleed into your marker sections. So completely up to you. Just be aware that sometimes that brown would pull in if you're using a blends marker because of the alcohol, okay? But the Memento ink is great, and then there is a die in the set that you can cut this out with as well. So you can have that handy for later when we're doing a little cutting. This is a great stop and pause time to just catch up a little. Okay, so I have my background done. Now I'm going to take this large strip of Evening Evergreen and I want to pop it up on dimensionals on my card. Okay, so make sure there's a nice amount in there, because this needs to be a solid base for your other pieces. And hello to everyone who's watching. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Gail. All right, so this piece, completely up to you, but I've decided I want to put it on the left-hand side of my project. And all I've left is the same size of border on the top, bottom, and left-hand side. Whatever's left is going to be that large empty space on the right, okay? Oh, now everyone's saying hi. They want their names in the video. Hi, Sheila. Hi, Jen. All right. Now to decorate, I've cut out the same pieces that I used in my sample. However, you can also mix them up if you prefer. So maybe we'll try working backwards this time and we'll see which card we end up liking better. So my suggestion to you is always make sure to set the pieces in place before starting to attach anything, because we could find out that, oops, we cut something too long, or we've cut something far too short and you've got this giant gap, in which case you can just fill it in with something else. But it's just nice to kind of roughly see what you're working with before you actually start assembling. Okay, so when you're ready, then you can start grabbing your adhesive, and I just take the pieces off one at a time and replace them where I originally had them. Okay, so I'll just start at the bottom here. I'm happy with the gap that's between all the pieces. And I'll just put that guy right back in there. Okay, so he's now nicely in place. And if you're still worried, move that one back. Okay, this just gives me a chance to make sure my gaps stay nice and even as I'm building my card. If you want more colors, you can always change your measurements and do, you know, 3/4 of an inch or something like that. But I thought 5 papers was pretty good amount. Usually don't have scraps from all of the patterns in a package. There we go. Last. Okay, so I have this beautifully now in place, and let's chat about coloring that flower, because if you've noticed, I put my flower tucked underneath this little tag. So this guy's just going to have to wait a minute to get attached, and I'll just set that to the side. So I have chosen 2 colors to highlight today. I've got dark and light cherry cobbler and dark and light just jade. If you don't own those colors, you can also substitute for something else that would complement this scheme. So if you owned our evening evergreen, that would be a great green. You could also use shaded spruce. It would kind of tie right in. And then real red would, of course, blend really nicely as well. Poppy is probably a little bright for this card, but it would work nicely if you had some more bright Christmas colors instead, okay? But for today's video, I'm using just jade and cherry cobbler. Now, because I didn't want you to have to sit here and watch everything, I have already colored my little branches, I guess, with the dark just jade, and the little berries with the dark cherry cobbler. You are more than welcome to do shading with those as well, but I figured for the sake of expediency, we'll just do a couple things together. So I have a few random leaves here. So what I'm going to do is take my dark just jade and draw right along that that center vein with the dark just jade. So I'm just tracing the inside of my leaf, and then with the light just jade, I'm going to go and color the entire leaf. So color right over top of the darkness that you've done already. And what will happen is they will kind of blend together. That middle part will stand out, but you won't have any weird lines because you've colored right over top. Another thing to note with our blends is you don't actually need to color right to the black outline because these colors tend to bleed out a little bit as they set. So always give just a tiny bit of space around your edge. You can fix it later by adding more color, but it's a lot harder to go back and take the color away with your color lifter, and it doesn't always work. So if you've added too much. Okay, so as those colors set, they'll actually bleed into each other more and more. This is one that has been sitting now for a few days. And let's see, I just colored one about an hour ago, and you can see the colors still are not as mixed. So they'll set and blend with each other over time. On to the red. So my dark and light cherry cobbler. Once again, I'm starting with my dark cherry cobbler. We're just going to do a little bit of messy coloring. So inside that center of the flowers, I'm just drawing a line. It takes up almost the entire petal, and that's perfect. So then in the petals next to it, I'm just going to kind of scribble down near the bottom of each of them. This scribbling we will be blending eventually, but it gives us a nice base of dark colors. So scribbling in all the bases of those petals, all the way around. You can add more colors. You could even use like cherry cobbler and real red together if you wanted, but I think for basics, we'll just start with 2. Okay, so here's my lovely flower. Taking my light cherry cobbler now, and I'm going to go over the entire thing. So what I like to do is I like to just go around those outsides of the petals just to make sure I've got a nice perimeter. I'm using the skinny tip on my marker here. And once again, you don't even have to go all the way to the edge because the markers will kind of bleed out. Now that I've got the whole perimeter, I'm going to switch to the solid thick line. That's my big tipped marker, and I'm going to go over everything. Just barely, not even touching to the top of the flower because that's already been colored. But getting a lot of base color in the middle sections here. Those guys will mix really nicely, and as they set, they should give you a nice two-toned flower look. Okay, so I would do the same thing. These other 2, this guy's really tiny, so you could probably just use your skinny tip the whole time. But it's up to you if you want to go over with the fat tip too. Make sure to go over that middle section with the light because it'll fill in any blanks and blend your colors really well. It's just really satisfying to see your flower come to life. There we go. 2 out of 3. And 3 out of 3. One's kind of the middle, so I'll probably come back with my thick marker to finish it. There we go. There. So there is our gorgeous set of flowers. To attach this to your card, it looks like it's popped up in this area, but there's actually no adhesive on these leaves. All I'm going to do is attach this flower section straight onto the popped up background. So my easiest way to do that is just a couple pieces of double-sided tape. Make sure you've got it where you're happy, and then just kind of roughly turn it over. The nice thing is these will soak through so you can see perfectly where your flowers are. I guess it's a good thing and a bad thing. So color on top of something because they do soak through, but it's really easy for you to see where your flowers are. And then you can just gently put this onto your card, and this part here doesn't need to get attached. It'll just look really nice popped out. Last but not least, that little embossed tag, Season's Greetings. We're going to pop him up with dimensionals, and it is the same length as your base green here. So we'll just put it right over top, and it'll look like it's just part of the base kind of popping out at you. So anywhere you want, really. And you are looking crooked. There we go. That's better. All right, so that pops up beautifully. If you want to get even fancier with this, you could take some black matte dots, perhaps, and put them in the center of your flowers. You could also, if you have some gold or linen thread, you could tuck some behind your flowers here, but this is a perfect card for me because all I need to do is use up tons of scraps from my collection and then sit down and color a few flowers. If you're not in the Christmas mood yet, I do have one alternative for you. So this is the same layout, exact same measurements, but I have used the Wildcats stamp set as well as the coordinating paper. So this cheetah here I cut out from the paper, but I could just as easily make my own tiger or leopard or cheetah from the assortments in the set. Okay, so completely up to you, but here's a nice alternative if you're not in the Christmas mood. Okay, so there you go. Same measurements, same layout, just a little bit of different color scheme, I guess. So I hope you guys enjoyed today. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And if you're in Canada, I can send you catalogs, or you can join my online classes as well. And I look forward to crafting with you guys next week. Bye.